Perfect. And if you're having any trouble joining Nearpod, let me know. Again, my name is Nataja, and we're just going to give folks a few seconds to join our session. Oh, yes. Okay, perfect. Welcome, welcome, everyone. We are about to get started. If you haven't already, please join Nearpod. I see some folks coming on screen, which we love. Happy AI Literacy Day. And so we'll get started in about another minute. And like I said earlier, if you're just joining, don't forget to join Nearpod. I'll be joining that. I'll be adding that link to the chat throughout our session today. Awesome. Okay, we have folks getting onto Nearpod. Again, if you're having any trouble, let me know. We are going to get started just because we only have a short time together. We have a lot to cover, but because we know academic integrity and cheating are a very, very juicy topic. And so I want to make sure that we have all the time to kind of engage one another and really dive into some of the materials we have for you today. And so let's actually get the conversation started by jumping on Nearpod. If you joined us a little if you joined us just now, you'll notice there is a link for you to join Nearpod in the chat. We're going to be using Nearpod and Zoom side by side today just to kind of make sure that our session is as engaging as possible. We want to hear from multiple voices, multiple perspectives, and also to let you know you will not be able to see your names attached to any of the things that you're posting on Nearpod. It is going to be a safe space and also an anonymous space. So feel free to be brave and let us know what you're thinking. But as we get the conversation started, want to know, have you experienced students cheating? And what was that experience? What has that experience been like for you? Awesome. We have about 17 folks on Nearpod. You're going to see me dropping that link again and again. So sorry for the spam in advance. And give another moment for folks to join and add their I specifically cheating, not with AI, just cheating in general. But thanks for asking, Eve. Okay, we got some answers coming on the board. Love what I'm seeing. And you should be able to see those answers as well. Oh, yes. When it comes to coding, I know I used to work with engineers when AI first became really popular, or folks who are becoming engineers, and a lot of folks were leaning on a little generative AI for some help with that. I can see that. Students submitting work, of course, cheating on a math test. Okay, so interesting. But exactly. And so again, this is just to get our conversation started because we know we bring a lot of interesting perspectives and experiences to this conversation today. And so, really excited to jump in. And again, welcome and thank you for joining me for AI Literacy Day. A lot of us may have already come face to face with AI, students using AI in our classroom, or even trying to figure out how to prevent student use on AI when it comes to assignments. Either way, I know we all want some solutions, and you are in the right place. Today, we're going to dive into this idea of academic integrity and cheating in the age of AI. But I know before we jump in, you're like, who is this person talking to me? I am Nataja, and I am the lead of professional learning delivery here at AI EDU. My background is in sociology and education, and a lot of my work has always been in program design, management, and delivery, just making sure I'm creating and delivering experiences, learning experiences in particular, that really stick with my learners and allow them to evolve, especially as it relates to their skill set. So really excited to activate some of those AI skills that we already have, but also deepen some of our knowledge around, this conversation around AI and education that's already happening around us. And of course, want to get our session started by kind of just grounding ourselves in a few requests that we have that's going to make this session a lot more enjoyable and successful. And so asking y'all to be present. Again, happy AI Literacy Day. Hopefully you are here to engage with us, and we know we have a lot of things on the table. So laundries and emails hopefully can wait for a little while. Want to encourage y'all to ask questions. Some of us may have things on our minds and others are wondering the exact same thing. Or you may also have answers because we all bring a different amount of expertise to the space as well. There's also going to be some discomfort, and we're going to welcome that. And I welcome you to sit with that discomfort. Some of the content is going to make you wonder, but we promise it will all come together. And then last but not least, I already see some beautiful faces on the screen, and I want to encourage y'all to come on screen just because I love seeing your facial reactions to some of the interesting things that we're going to talk about. So do encourage y'all to come off camera, but also understand if you are unable to as well. And of course, a little bit about our amazing organization, AI EDU, also known as the AI Education Project. We have been around since about 2019, doing some incredible work, reaching tens of thousands of students with our free curriculum materials, which you'll all be able to access, and we'll link those later. And also providing professional learning experiences just like these to thousands of educators across the country as well. And so really excited to continue sharing resources that allow you and your students to be a part of the conversation around AI that is happening in the world around us. And as we get into our session, our objectives are really going to be focused on supporting you with strategies that really encourage that authentic learning and really address those concerns around AI. And so I'm in the chat just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Perfect. And so what better way to get our session started with than a little simulation, okay? I am the teacher and you are the student, so put on your student hats if you can. This is going to be now a communications course. Your task is on the screen, and I know you might feel uncomfortable and have some questions because it's all happening so quickly, but that is intentional. We're going to bring everything together really shortly, but this is really about your process. What are the first things you do when you see this assignment? And I want you to drop them in the chat. When you see this assignment, what are the first three things you would do? Okay. Check other YouTube ads, watch some YouTube ads, probably go to Claude. Okay. I love Claude. Establish some goals, do some research. Okay. Y'all are great people. I love what I'm seeing. Type the description in ChatGPT and see if you can generate a list of steps. Figuring out the goals. Okay, so you guys are really some deep thinkers, and I love that. But what if I told you that some of y'all cheated? Let me get your reactions. Do you think that you cheated? Do you feel like in this process, if you would have taken the steps that you listed, would that be considered cheating? Okay, we got some stuff in the chat as well. Thank you. And also for those newcomers, you're going to see me drop that Nearpod link once more, just so you are able to join the conversation. But let us know on Nearpod. Do you think the process that you listed or suggested was cheating? Got a few answers. I'm going to give folks a little bit more time to reflect. And also feel free to drop your answer in the chat too. Just your answers, Trisha. Thanks for the clarification. Do you think your process was cheating? Okay. I'm gonna give us another 10 seconds and I'm gonna show everyone the results. So why would I, an educator, a teacher, think that everyone or some of y'all are cheating? Why would I get, what would bring me to that outcome or to that thought process after you shared your process with me? And feel free to come off mute, drop your responses in the chat. Okay, so for this particular scenario, you were a student in the class. So why would I, the teacher, say that you were cheating or that your process was a little interesting? And you guys should have the ability to unmute too. Okay, awesome. I'm in the chat. It depends on how the assignment was framed. Is it strictly an independent assignment? Am I talking to others? As a student, I would indicate that it was not a clear assignment to you. You didn't tell me what tools I could or could not use. Great things that are going to connect to what our purpose is today. You didn't say I couldn't. You didn't say what I could or couldn't use, right? And that is what's really important. And so I want us to ground us, and I want to ground us in this idea because we at AIEU believe that cheating and academic integrity are really tightly connected. And this is how we define them. We have academic integrity, and those are going to be the agreements about student learning and how students will show that learning. And then we have cheating is when those agreements that we made about student learning are broken. And these are very, very assignment specific. So something that is cheating on one assignment may not always be considered cheating on another assignment. And so now we're going to look at a revised version of that task from earlier. Take a moment to read that. Okay, awesome. So now I kind of want to hear in what ways, we're actually going to talk about, in what ways does the revised assignment support academic integrity? And what characteristics are going to be the most important when designing an assignment that includes AI use? And so we're actually going to hop into breakout rooms and unpack what we're actually seeing. What are those changes in an assignment? And see what we kind of come up with together. And then we'll come back to the main group and obviously unpack some of our findings as well. And also on Nearpod, for those who are on Nearpod, you should be able to scroll between this slide and the last slide, so you have that revision. You're able to see that text as well. But you'll see those breakout rooms pop up on your screen. Now, and we're only going to be in these breakout rooms for a couple of minutes, so take advantage of it. Awesome. I see folks hopping into those rooms. We want to make sure no one's alone. Okay, folks are coming back from breakout rooms. Hopefully we had some good stuff. Give folks a couple more seconds just to get back in the room. Okay. 8 more seconds. And then we're going to get this discussion started. I know some of us also weren't in breakout rooms, but I think you guys can still engage and think about how it changed. And so now that everyone is back, are there any highlights from those discussions you guys had together? What did you see in the changes? What was significant? I'm going to invite 1 to 2 people to come off mute and share those ideas. You can also share in the chat as well.
Well, one thing we talked about was helping students understand that generative AI is just another source. So, as with any other source, they need to indicate this is where this came from, like in the final product.
For sure. Absolutely. Anything else anyone noticed?
Well, I liked how it was assessing multiple skills at once. It was your communication abilities, but then also your ability to use AI and interact with it and use it to kind of augment your own thinking or to partner with your thinking. Because I'm a college counselor, so I actually think about how students are going to be using AI once they get to college and then in the workforce. And, they're going to need to have these skills in order to succeed or survive, really.
Exactly, right? If you're gonna, in order to leverage a tool, right? Leverage is a powerful word. You are empowering a tool, right? Are you using it for power? You have to understand how to do that, right? Or you may be actually using it for something that is not actually good or beneficial. And so we have to aid our students in this, especially as they're making decisions to use AI on their own. It's like, hold on, I see them doing this. What do I need to do to prepare them? How can I create this instinctual learning that is happening or that is more intuitive so they can then apply it to all the ways, all tools that they're using, whether it's AI or not, right? And so let's actually dive a little bit deeper into that because cheating and academic integrity are not static, and we know that. And so with that, it's really dependent on the context of any kind of given learning goal and the expectation or of how students will engage in the assignments that we give. So in the age of AI, cheating and academic integrity are going to feel different than they have in the past. In fact, you might be wondering, how do we actually catch cheating now that students are using AI? And that's actually reactive. We're actually going to be proactive instead, right, Charles? So we don't want to be exhausted by the, oh my gosh, is Albert cheating? Is this AI? This sounds kind of different. Let me put it into the tool. We're not going to do that. We want to use our time better. We want to engage with our students more, right? Make learning more authentic. And that's not how we're actually going to do it. So let's be proactive instead. And let's talk about what that actually looks like. We believe that there are 3 things that you can do. Well, 4 things you can do to really make effective assignments, right? That's 1, making a clear learning objective, really considering the process, like Sandra said earlier, and not just the product. How are students going to be using the tool? How should they be using the tool? What are my expectations? And that is, instead of having a written product as the assignment, have students dialogue as an assignment, right? The parameters also for AI use and rationale need to be clear. Like Trisha said, it's like, what is the expectation here? If I'm going to use it, am I citing it? Am I allowed to use it? Am I not? And then accountability for that AI use, right? Making sure that students actually cite their work is holding them accountable, right? It's also creating this layer of transparency and honesty that our learning process deserves. And so we got to think of this as good teaching in the age of AI. I know good teaching has evolved throughout our experiences and it will continue to evolve, but this practice is really going to be a part of what we really think of as good teaching. And so these are also things to think about when we consider if and how AI can be used on an assignment. You, the teacher, the educator, the expert, the counselor, right, are the expert. And so give these the appropriate value. You have expertise, weigh that in here. But the things like on things, when you're giving that value, you're giving it to things like whether or not their school has policies. What is the grade level? Are there any learning differences that within my students, and whether or not you want to allow AI use at all in your classroom, in your assignments, that is your decision, right? And so we know that there are assignments where students definitely should not use AI, but should you be the one deciding? And that is yes, right? It is your assignment. You outline it, you understand the process and the goals, and whether or not AI use actually aligns with that process or those goals. And so now taking those things into the consideration and applying them to our revised scenario once again. Y'all know as educators, we love some drafts. We love a second draft, a third draft, right? And when we work with AI, it is an iterative, experimental, creative process, right? And so you will have multiple drafts of that one prompt, multiple drafts of that one assignment, because learning is evolving in the age of AI. And so now want to give you a little more help as you think about those characteristics, and we have a few guiding questions for y'all to take in. And so as you're reading these, you might be thinking, nah, I can't do this. My school doesn't even allow AI or students to use AI. And it's still worth taking a moment to really acknowledge that we know that some students are going to use AI regardless of our school policies. And so the bigger question here is, what is the meaningful learning that we want to happen? If we expect that all of our students are going to use AI, whether or not they should, we aren't caught off guard, right? And we can really ensure that there is a deeper learning with clearer learning objectives. And this will relate in and outside of the classroom, right? When you give students the power to use a tool in school, right, they will take those skills beyond the classroom, right? And we're talking about professional and personal practice. And so again, the key here is that students really need to be prepared to share openly and honestly about how they are completing their work, right? What if students use Google search and looks at, again, YouTube advertisements for examples, or talks to an ad executive for that particular assignment? Are those things considered cheating? It's murky. But if I understand your process, that gives me a lot more context to see how you got to your end goal or how you've reached the final assignment. Hmm. Mhm. Yes, Trisha makes an incredible point in the chat. I always consider those students who don't have access to the tool. We know the digital divide exists, right? And so some of our students are using AI, and some of our students aren't. But what do they all need to understand, regardless, right? And that's when we're talking about with AI literacy. It is the skills and the knowledge to actually understand the use of the tool, and then AI readiness to be able to apply those skills. But even without using AI tools, you can build AI literacy. You can begin to understand how the tool functions. And so let's continue to dive a little bit deeper. And I know some of us are, I know we haven't talked about it yet, but I know a lot of us are explicitly concerned about cheating. And we believe that there are some assignments where AI obviously should not be used, but you may be thinking, I can also use a cheating detector. And the short response to that is they are not really reliable, y'all, and they should not be used. Because in truth, the more you, the educator, the practitioner, use AI, chat tools, the more familiar you become with the tool and how they work and the kinds of input they provide. You know your students and you know how they speak, you know how they write, and a lot of us also know how they think. And so you apply that knowledge, that instinctual knowledge that you have as an educator, as a human, you apply that human expertise, that human insight when, grappling with these kinds of situations. Because the goal is not to become the greatest shooting detector in the world, but really thinking about the types of things you're asking your students to do. It's about defining and justifying appropriate student AI relationships for any given task and making sure that it's clear to them and also to you. And so let's continue talking about making assignments stronger using some of those characteristics that we talked about earlier. So, if the objective of an assignment, for example, is to see if they're writing, you might allow AI to brainstorm topics for research, but not allow it to do the writing for the students. Or another example, if you might expect students to write the paper and then use AI to get that first level of feedback. And if you are assessing bibliographies, on the other hand, then you maybe allow students to use AI for the writing, but not for the bibliography. So again, what is the skill that we are assessing, and how do we make sure the process aids that skill, the growth and development of that skill? And so I want y'all to read what's on the slide. We have another, you know, basic assignment. A persuasive essay on the advantages and disadvantages of social media. We know the kids are going to love this one. And so now, this is a better version. Okay. Let me make sure. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, perfect. Oh, awesome. And so now I want to make sure you guys are able to go through and compare. And so now I want you to revise, right? How would you revise this particular assignment to make sure that it is clear to students the objective, really considering that process over product, has clear parameters for AI use, and also accountability measures? So we're going to jump back into those breakout rooms that we had earlier. Also, if you are on Nearpod, you should be able to go through all the way up to slide 22, and you should be able to go through the slides just in case you need to reflect. You want to make sure you're able to compare. But in your breakout rooms, what you're going to do is develop talking points to use. Well, this is the assignment. Develop talking points to use in a debate about the role of Abraham Lincoln in the abolishment of slavery. So ideally, we're going to jump back into the breakout rooms and revise these assignments, thinking about those components that we had earlier. I'm also going to add these questions to the chat because I know I did it before last time, and that was an accident. So you're going to see this guidance here as well. And you're going to see those breakout rooms open. You're going to have 4 minutes, well, 5 minutes in those breakout rooms to kind of unpack together or brainstorm. And so you should see all those rooms are open now. And if anyone's having any trouble joining breakout rooms, just make sure you let me know, and I gotcha. Hi, Chris. You just joined us during our breakout room. We literally just started. We are revising some assignments. And so you're going to see, I'm going to drop the link to our Nearpod in the chat just so you can see what we are. And you should be able to access those slides as well that we're looking at. And Chris, I'm also going to drop you in a breakout room, and feel free to ask other folks what's going on. Fill me in. Let me know. Hi, Monica. We are in breakout rooms right now. So you're going to see me. We have about 3 more minutes in there. So feel free to just jump into the conversation. They are collectively revising an assignment.
Okay, thank you. I may just hold off for now because I'm still in the car. I'm trying to.
Oh, okay. I understand. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was on the first one and then I got disconnected when I left the car.
Oh, no, no worries. You're good. Thank you
Thank you.
for really good tea.
Will these sessions be available later, the recordings?
So I don't know if we're going to have the recordings of it. I'm not sure about the dispensement of the recordings, but I know we offer these sessions all the time. So if you did want to see it, and they're usually an hour long, so we usually have a bit more time. And so we offer these sessions regularly through our website for free, but I'm not sure how they're going to, what the recording is going to live just yet.
Great.
Awesome. Let's. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I know folks are still in their breakout rooms. It should be coming back in a couple seconds. Let's wait. Okay, I think we have everyone. Now let's talk. How was it revising those assignments? What was your approach? What was your process? What did you notice? Anything amazing, surprising came out of your breakout rooms? I want to hear it all.
So we had a question about what grade level it was, because that would determine either what kind of objective we were using, and also if it's a low enough grade, do we want them using AI at all?
That is a great thing to bring up, Ren. It's like, okay, we all have different backgrounds. We may all teach different grades, have experience with different folks. Like, okay, how do I edit this assignment for my particular students? If they were in 3rd grade, were there any different approaches to that, Ren, that came up in that group?
We didn't get that far. It wasn't enough time.
I know it was maybe 5 minutes. Got you excited though, I see. Any other ideas? What were you guys thinking? So we have grade appropriateness. What else? I'm in the chat. Thank you, Christy, for getting us started in the chat. Did anyone come up with any examples, like free or unpaid versions of the tool? Ooh, Teresa, could you talk more about why that might be important?
We are at a college context, and so might be a more involved essay, but just the difference even on ChatGPT between the free version, and a student last year had she was using her mom's paid version that her mom had for work. So it just makes the output more refined, harder to detect, and so she also knew how it fit in her mom's workflow and didn't think that was a problem.
Exactly, right? And so as we think about as we think about these revisions, right, it's like I have to consider a lot of things when creating my assignments. I have to consider whether or not my students have access, whether or not we're allowed to use AI, but ultimately whether or not it is allowed to be used, right? That is your decision as an educator, as a practitioner in your workspace. And so, as we wrap up our time together, we really just we ask that you really take action. We don't leave this knowledge on the table, just sitting and just, getting stale. We want to use this. We want to activate what we've taken today. What will you do with today's learnings? I want you to make an action plan, something specific, and feel free to drop that in. Oh, hold on. Sorry, y'all. I went a little bit ahead. A little bit ahead. This is the action plan, right? So, what are you thinking? What will you do after this session today? Feel free to drop that in the chat. Just take a moment. Hmm. Okay, yes. You have so many different backgrounds in the room. I love this. And as folks are sharing, what we really hope you have experienced with us today is that we can really get ahead of cheating by structuring our assignments and our expectations. And by focusing on learning outcomes, we can really get clear and help students be clear about their learning as well, right? And so these action plans that we're making, these goals that we have, we are not going to leave this learning on the table, but rather take this learning with us and begin to activate our different kinds of learning communities. And as we round out, I do have some resources for you before we log off, but I want to give us 2 minutes just to reflect on the experience that we've had today and share some feedback with us, right? And let us know what is powerful, what landed, and then what you're hoping to get some more of so we can make sure that, educators are really feeling empowered and impactful after our experiences. And then after this, we're going to share some resources. So give me a thumbs up, an emoji when you are all set, and we'll get to sharing. Mhm. Oh, I have some good stuff. Activity models, yes. Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. I'm going to give folks a few more moments to continue wrapping up their reflections in the survey. But as you wrap up the reflection in the survey, I do want to let you know we do have some amazing resources that couple with this session, and you're going to see those shared in the chat. And so we have an incredible one-pager. And also, if you are on Nearpod, you should be able to click into these amazing resources right from your screen. But we have a lot of educator quick guides that allow you to activate your own and build your own AI literacy throughout our website. So you can look out for the release of more of these. But thinking about critical thinking, I know that's really important to a lot of us. And so we have a one-pager and a blog that also goes with it that allows you to think about critical thinking in your classroom, especially in the age of AI, making sure we're activating that muscle for our students. And it is critical thinking is not something that is left to the wayside, right? You're also going to see that we have some other resources here that are going to allow you just to dive deeper into assessing an AI on a scale of like no AI use to full AI use and thinking about what that looks like as you begin to measure. And then last but not least, what is next, we obviously have some more incredible sessions for you all. Again, you're able to click right onto the slide and register or check it out. But we have deepfakes, getting to the truth of it all. Again, we love hot topics here. We want to talk about what you want to talk about, what's important to the educators, what's important to our school communities, and these are the things that we are hearing. And so come through if any of these sessions excite you, intrigue you. Feel free to also bring a friend, right? I see we got some pairs on the screen and we love that, right? Feel free to bring a friend to any of these sessions. They are all free and available on our website. And so again, thank y'all. Happy AI Literacy Day. We hope you had an amazing experience with us. We are not sure where these materials will live just yet, but do look out for updates about recordings and resources, etc. So I don't have any kind of finalized version, finalized answers about where the resources will live, but we will be sure to follow up with you all. So again, thank you. Sign up for our newsletter and hopefully we see y'all again soon. Enjoy the rest of the sessions today. Bye, everyone. I'm going to stay on just in case people have questions, but I know there are other sessions to go to.